Come have fun with us and don't forget to subscribe.
What's up, everybody? I'm Rick.
And I'm Anna, and welcome to our review of the 1937 movie Stage Door. For those of you who are new here, hi and welcome to our channel. Don't forget to subscribe. This channel is dedicated to Rick and mine bucket list of goals and dreams that we hope to accomplish in our lifetimes, and one of those goals is for us to watch every movie that was nominated for Best Picture at the Academy Awards from 1927 to 2028.
Lots of movies.
Lots of movies. We are currently at the year 1937. To this day, we have watched 85 movies as part of this list. The latest of which is Stage Door, the movie that we're going to be talking about today. Adapted from a play of the same name by Edna Farber and George S. Kaufman, this RKO film, which was released on October 8, 1937, tells the story of several would-be actresses who live together in a boarding house in New York City. Let's dive right into it. What did you think of this movie?
What did I think of this movie? This movie, I enjoyed it. I thought it was very good. I especially liked the dialogue and the way it flows between the characters.
Yes.
There's something I'm not sure about. Not sure in the sense, I don't know what I feel about it, if I liked it or not. It's the end. Not the end per se, I didn't think there was anything wrong with what they did. But tonally speaking, it kind of seemed something out of another movie. It feels like this is not the movie I was watching. I was watching a more lighthearted movie, and then this super tragic thing happens.
They're dropping a bomb on you that you don't see coming.
You out of it, and you're like, oh. The movie had some deeper themes, just like with the movie we just watched, 100 Men and a Girl, about unemployment and these people in the entertainment industry who have a very hard time finding work. And of course, there was always that one girl, the one who kills herself at the end, who had problems throughout the movie. And so I say lighthearted, not in the sense that they weren't tackling anything serious, but more in the way the movie
It didn't seem
flowed.
like it would lead to that.
Exactly.
But I feel like I agree with that. I totally didn't see it coming.
Mm-hmm.
But in a way, I feel like that's the message that it tries to send, to everyone else and to us watching it. It felt like, oh, this is, their lives, their struggles, all of this, all of that. But to someone, this is
everything.
It's everything or nothing,
Yeah.
And when she lost everything, then I feel like in that sense, the message works really well.
And I guess if you take it like that, it's also the idea that we don't know what's happening to these people or to other people in general, She's part of the movie. She's one of the numerous would-be actresses in the boarding house. But you see her from time to time. Most of the time, you don't know where she's been during the day. You assume she's trying to get roles. She tells us, the audience and the people in the movie about her hard time finding a job. You assume from the beginning that she's not really eating. So you see a little bit into her life, but also you see nothing into her life. She alludes to some past several times during the movie, and you assume that that must have a lot to do with the reason why she kills herself too,
Right.
Like when she says, I've nobody to go back to. Oh, well, I have somebody, but I can't do that, And then also when she talks about the role, this is not just a role for me, this is my life. What's happening here exactly?
Right, it feels like she drops a lot of hints, but she's not the character we're following, really.
Yeah. She's living her whole life, and it leads to this tragic end. And that's just how life is in general. Each of these women, they live their own life. One of them ends up getting married. The others keep trying to find work. You walk down the street any given day, and anybody there might be having a really hard day, and you don't know, because that's
Right.
what life is.
And it's interesting that one of the first remarks that you made is about the dialogue.
Mm-hmm.
I also thought that the dialogue worked really, really well.
Yeah.
It was very smartly done, and it was so witty but very realistic at the same time, you
Yeah.
know? Actually, I have some interesting information about that.
All right. Was there some improv there?
Something else.
Oh, okay.
The movie was directed by Gregory LaCava, who was particularly interested in how to make the movie feel very realistic in terms of how these young actresses would interact with each other. And so a lot of attention was paid to the script writing, to the dialogue writing part. So LaCava had his cast, the actresses, actually live together several weeks prior to the start of the movie, of the filming. And during the whole period of the filming, they all lived in a boarding house looking place. And some of the scriptwriters were with them in the house the whole time, taking notes and writing down the way they just talk, day to day off the set. And that dialogue was put into the movie. So taken from their like real life interactions as, young actresses.
That's a great idea.
Also, for their time, for the people who watched the movie at the time when it came out, very like modern, up to date. It wasn't something, that they came up with that was kind of...
couple of old men in a room trying to figure out how girls talk with each other.
Exactly. The movie was greatly appreciated for that in general.
Yeah, no, that's the first thing as I was watching the movie I was thinking of. These lines, they're well written.
Right. The movie stars Katharine Hepburn as Terry Randall, whom we've seen before in Little Women and Alice Adams.
Mm-hmm.
I do have some information about her performance, but first I want to know your opinion of it. What did you think?
I thought she was great. I think, she tends to play, well, from the two other movies we saw, a kind of role that is, similar, not the same roles, but you can feel like the true line between these roles. I thought that here, it's very interesting how, and that's what struck me, Alice Adams, she was this modest girl trying to fake her way into being high society. And here she's this high society girl
trying to mingle with
the modest people. And
right.
that was an interesting turn of event. I thought she was great, and her character, and I made that remark about the girl who died, but the same thing can be said about all of the characters, which is what I think this movie does so well, is all of them seems to be lived-in characters with their own backstory that is hinted at, but that you never go too deeply into, We're hinted at her story as a daughter of a rich father, but we don't get too deeply into that. We're focused on her journey, trying to fit in with these girls, trying to become an actress, and also what it means by the end when she does become a successful actress, but at what cost. And the whole story of how, she's a bad actress, but at the end she becomes successful after, living through tragedy. What did you think about that, actually?
I mean, I feel like what they're trying to say with that storyline is that you can't really portray that kind of human emotions unless you've lived through something like this. Not necessarily this in particular, but anything that would make you understand hardship. Exactly.
As a young, rich girl, it doesn't seem like she lived through a lot of hardship.
You can't really portray a suffering woman if you've never suffered for anything really in your life, In that sense, I don't know if I agree with the message per se, but it works for the story, I think it's...
Does she ask it herself at the end of the movie? Does somebody have to die for...
An actress to be made, something like this,
And I mean, you hear that often. Actors or coaches will say like, "Oh, you need to tap in real experiences." But there are also actors who have gone through, no big tragedies and still portray tragic characters.
Katharine Hepburn here had a bit of a hard time, actually, when it came to putting on the performance that she wanted. For the past several movies that she had made prior to this one, she didn't get such good critical reviews.
Mm-hmm.
And so her popularity was starting to decline. So when she was cast in these roles, she had very few scenes initially. And as the filming was progressing and they saw, let's say, her potential for portraying this character, they gave her more scenes. However, before that happened, she was very unhappy with the fact that she wasn't given enough scenes. So she asked the director, what am I supposed to portray here? What is the essence of my character? To which the director responded, she is the human question mark. What do you think that means?
The human question mark? Yes. That means she's the
exactly.
human question mark.
That's what she asked. What does that mean? To which the director answered, damned if I know.
Very helpful.
So she had to deal with that, in order to figure out her character and how to portray it. Which, by the end of it, paid off because this was her comeback role.
Good for her.
So, moving on, the movie also stars Ginger Rogers as Jane Maitland, whom we have seen before in 42nd Street, The Gay Divorcee, and Top Hat.
Mm-hmm.
Ginger Rogers, at the time when this movie was filmed, was already a well-established star. When she was first cast for the role, she was supposed to be the single top billing. However, by the end of the filming, they had decided to put her top billing next to Katharine Hepburn. What did you think of her performance here?
I thought she was great. Different character from the one Katharine Hepburn plays. Very different. They're even at odds with each other at the beginning of the movie, and throughout the movie even. But I think it works. It's a character that at first you might think is unlikable, but she's actually very endearing, you know?
Yes.
Like you get attached to her and her part of the story.
I feel like she pretty much portrays the kind of person you would expect someone to become after having that lifestyle for a while.
The cynicism.
Exactly. Facing the hardships, you still have to like keep your head high. But because she doesn't have the same social position that Terry has, she can't afford to just like burst into someone's office and scream at them like that, you know? Like she has to figure out her own way of dealing with things, and sometimes that means that she can't do anything about it. She just has to deal with it. And that's what you see in her character a lot.
Speaking of her and Terry's different social standing, I think it's interesting that Terry gets this role because of her dad, who's trying to have her play in a play so that she realizes that she's bad and come back home. Turns out she ends up being great. Good. But that's the reason she got the role. Because of her social standing. Because she had a rich father who sponsored the whole thing and said, I want my daughter to be top billing, even though he didn't reveal that it was his daughter.
Yeah.
And worked through someone else. Kind of feels bad compared to all these other girls who've been trying for years for anything they can get. Ginger Rogers, when they call her and they're like, you can dance at this club. She's like, hey, that's a chance that we can't skip, even if it's just the possibility of a job, not even a job per se. She has to go there and see if she gets it. And she's so happy about it. Kind of feels bad,
It does, but at the same time, it's so real.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the reality of so many people, and not only in the entertainment industry, but I feel like in so many other fields.
Yeah.
A lot of the times you only get a job because
of your connection, of your money.
Exactly. And so, it's unfair, but very real. And I like that about this movie. I like how real it feels.
And it's so unfair that it leads indirectly to the suicide of one of the girls.
The movie also stars Adolphe Menjou as Anthony Powell, whom we have seen before in The Front Page, A Farewell to Arms, and 100 Men and a Girl.
Mm-hmm. Very different role from 100 Men and a Girl to this.
But I feel like in the other movies too, like his roles are quite diverse.
All over the place,
And I like that. I always appreciate that about an actor when his roles are so diverse. Mm-hmm. What did you think of his
I thought it was great. He did very well with the role. Another character that I think is very interesting because seemingly there is more to him than just what you would expect. There's a story there. They don't go that deeply into it. But like, why fake that you have kids and a wife just to get these women to leave you alone afterward or to never ask you to marry them? Like, it's an interesting psyche that the character has that I wish a little bit that we got a bit deeper into, but also I understand that this is not what the movie was about.
Right.
But I just found it interesting. Like, what is he doing? What is he always writing in his book? And at the end, he shows someone.
Yeah, like we don't really know what the character is fully about. What I do like about him from what we see, in the sense that I dislike that about the character, but I like the way they put it in the story and the way the actor interpreted, is this conviction that he had that he is not responsible for any of this. He's just doing his job.
Yeah.
Casting whomever he wants, testing whomever he wants. It's his choice to make, and he has no responsibility. And, in a way, you could flip it in a way to be like, okay, yes, you're not obligated to see everyone, but at the same time, you can't ignore everyone.
Who comes to audition, yeah.
Exactly. But the conviction with which he says it and lives it,
and he's so disconnected from the reality of it all, because even the director, for example, of the play in which Katharine Hepburn plays, he asks him at the end of the movie, like, Terry, she's very good. She reminds me of that one girl that we had last year.
Right.
Which is Kay.
Yes.
And it's like, what's happening with her? It's like, I'm sure she's around. Meaning, like, he never follow up on anything with her. She came to his office to get a meeting and he canceled on her. But like the director seems to be interested in her. I'm sure he would have loved to work with her again.
Yes.
People were saying she's a great actress.
Yes.
But because of one roadblock, which is Powell here, it was just like, I don't really care. I forgot about her. And then...
And the movie also stars Andrea Leeds as Kay Hamilton, who is the character that we've been talking about so much so far, the one who does commit suicide in the end. And I think we already talked about the character a lot because we've mentioned her so much in the story before. I thought her interpretation was really good. The actress's interpretation was really good.
Yeah, everybody did a great job in this movie.
But I do have some more information about the movie. So, as I mentioned before, the movie is an adaptation of a Broadway play of the same name. The story, however, is quite different. It's an adaptation in a more loose sense, let's say.
Okay.
Some of the more notable differences being that in the play, Terry's family is not that well off. She's not from a rich family. She's from a family of doctors, which does give her some social status, but not the kind that we see in the movie. And another very important element that was changed in the movie is that at the end, Kay does commit suicide, but for completely different reasons that have nothing to do with not getting the role that she wanted, and it doesn't happen on an opening night. So I feel like that changes the story quite a bit.
A lot, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, I guess that would make a completely different story. That might be why I felt like maybe the shift in tone was a bit abrupt there if in the play it doesn't happen like that. Though you say she still commits suicide. So.
Yes, but I feel like I didn't look into it more than that, but I think, you were mentioning before how all the characters do have these like bits and pieces of stories, of their backstories that we hear.
You assume that her own life was tragic.
Exactly. So the movie was quite successful at the time. Critically, it was very well perceived. It was nominated for 4 Academy Awards. First off, Best Picture, Best Actress in a Supporting Role for Andrea Leeds, Best Director for Gregory LaCava, and Best Writing Screenplay for Maury Riskind and Anthony Vaylor. So that was it for the information that I had about the movie. Is there anything else that you would like to add?
Just one line that I thought was, at the time I'm sure nobody batted an eye, but listening to it I was like, wow, they wrote that, huh? When Katharine Hepburn's character is talking about like her grandfather, and she's like, oh, if people like my grandfather didn't ride out west, there would still be Indian living there. And she says it in a way
I remember that.
She says it in the sense that like it's better that there are not Indians living there now.
She was proud of it.
Yeah, which is telling of the time because the character is portrayed as a good character with morals, who understands, the pains of others and tries to help, and even goes off on Powell for not being considerate.
Yes.
But she doesn't think twice about what she just said. I just thought that was...
Yeah, but I think the writers at the time wouldn't think twice about
either,
like
probably.
This.
And the public,
yes.
Either, probably. Yeah.
So, in the end of it, would you recommend this movie?
Yes, I would recommend it. Just the dialogue alone is worth a watch to...
And the atmosphere of the movie.
Yeah. And we mentioned it quickly, but I like how it ends on the same point that it began at. A little bit like Grand Hotel, where at the end of the movie just new guests arrive.
Right,
and
exactly.
What happened before is just like another night at the hotel. It seems like this is kind of what we got here.
Yeah, I would recommend it too. Go watch this movie. It's really good, in my opinion. Katharine Hepburn's performance alongside Ginger Rogers, just astonishing to watch. And I think it is now time for us to rank this movie. So for every Academy Award year, we rank the Best Picture nominees according to our likings and preferences. And currently the ranking is at number 7, The Awful Truth, at number 6, In Old Chicago, at number 5, The Good Earth, at number 4, 100 Men and the Girl, at number 3, Dead End, at number 2, Captain's Courageous, and at number 1, Lost Horizon. Rick, where would you put this movie on this list?
I would put it at number 3.
3, so above Dead End.
Yeah.
Yes, I agree. Should we explain why maybe? Because I feel like it's not so often that we agree like spot on.
I think it's more on you because I would have put Dead End lower than you would have. I was a bit less enthusiastic about it than you. So to me, it's not that difficult to put it above Dead End. But what about you?
No, I mean, I definitely like Dead End, I think, more than you did. But at the same time, I feel like this movie, while also tackling into, you know, the hardships of, let's say, a certain class or a certain group of people, it does it better.
Mm-hmm.
The performances are overall more convincing, even though in Dead End, as I said, some performances I was more impressed with than others, or rather some characters I was more impressed with than others. Here I was impressed with all the characters. We're happy with it like this?
Yeah, at number 3.
Number 3, okay. So the new ranking for the year 1937, according to our likings and preferences, is at number 8, The Awful Truth, at number 7, In Old Chicago, at number 6, The Good Earth, at number 5, 100 Men and a Girl, at number 4, Dead End, at number 3, Stage Door, at number 2, Captain's Courageous, and at number 1, Lost Horizon. But yeah, that being said, that was it for our review of the 1937 movie Stage Door. Thank you all so much for watching. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up. And if you like our videos in general, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, which, by the way, is not just about reviewing movies, it's a bucket list channel, and we have so many different goals and dreams on the bucket list, including things like traveling, learning new things, playing video games, and so many more, and we're making videos about all of them and bringing them all to you. So yeah, please subscribe if you want to follow us through our adventures. Also, don't forget, if you yourself have a goal or a dream that you hope to accomplish, take that first step.
Bye!